This was a weird trade show. I'm going to be honest with you.
This week on the Dynasty Trade Show.
I'm curious to see what people think. There's a few of these trades as I'm looking back. Like, I could actually see the audience being really split on, which is kind of nice.
Elite quarterbacks removed and some crazy deals.
Jalen Herz is undervalued in Dynasty. This is just ridiculous in my opinion.
Right.
There was a great comment. Fant rant. I love him. But, Mike, you know why I like him? He's an 18th round starter pick. He cost a late third.
That's right. That's why you love him.
Mike, what did you think of the trade show today? Give me your reaction.
It's good. We did have some real gross ones, though. I felt like vomiting. It's like, I don't understand it for anybody. Everybody's a loser. Get off.
Try to keep up while Mike and Adam break these down for you.
40 chess, yeah. 40 chess, 40 chess, let's get it.
Yo, is that T-Dog?
40 chess, 40 chess, ay. 40 chess, this a trade show. Patreon where the trades go. Tap in and watch, that's what you came for. Ain't gotta say my name, they know my name, bro.
What's good, man?
We got McNutted in ATM. Always start off the show with a trade from them. You should always make sure that your trade is in. Patreon, why not be a Patreon? Know you wish you could spend every day with them. Tap in and say what you gon' say with them. South Harmon can fill up a stadium. Next time you log in, make sure that you bring a friend. We about to kick off, let the day begin. Go follow the socials. 40 Chess FF is posted. If your trade is an F, you get roasted. Go like and subscribe for the crew. Apple, Spotify, and the YouTube. You know Cooper got the warp too. Let us give you a walkthrough. 40 Chess. This is 40 Chess.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Dynasty Trade Show. So glad you could join us. Quick reminder, if you want your deals featured, if you want to get ripped apart or praised, it's a toss-up, really, which one it's going to be, isn't it, Adam?
I mean, I feel like right now it's a dealer's choice, you know?
Dealer's choice. Patreon.com/South Harmon. $5 a month to get you access to the trade show, plus tons of other stuff. The community itself is well worth that. But if you need a flaunt, trade show, that's where it's at.
Yeah, if you're
a sucker and you like to buy Keenan Allen a lot.
Well, if you want to flex, if you think you're worthy of flexing, this is the place to do it. And we'll let you know how you stack up to the competition. Mike, I'm excited, buddy. I'm excited. I said last week, towards the end, I never know what I'm going to get on the trade show, and it's one of the few things nowadays that really keeps me, on my toes. Let's see what we got, right?
Hey, the NFL draft is fast approaching, Adam.
Super
so it's
fast.
A great time to talk about our sponsors, our partners, our affiliate deal that we have with Ultimate Autographs. Signed sh.it. Adam, I'm excited to see, like, once these rookies are drafted, like, how fast Ultimate Autographs gets, like, the first NFL piece of memorabilia for some of these guys already signed. Like,
yeah.
I want to be one of the guys who's got, like, the first Drake May signed Patriots helmet. Something along those lines.
I really am actually on the same page with you. When they basically, Mike, when they get the landing spots for Rome and, like, Malik and Marv, I feel like unless one's really gross, puke stuff, I'm probably just going to cop them all.
Hey, I did pretty well last year. I had a signed Zay Flowers helmet before the draft, so it was kind of fun to watch Zay Flowers get drafted in the first round, and I'm like, oh, look at that. It's already paying off.
Absolutely.
It's already paying off for me, bud.
Yeah, man. Zay Flowers had a nice rookie season. Speaking of which, Mike, do you want to see if you have a nice deal here? And if
Oh, I know I do.
Okay.
Let's
take a peek. Let's take a peek. Well, I don't know who this fellow or lady is, the Gridiron. But
new manager.
Here's the deal, maybe, if it decides it wants to play. All right. We got a Blitz is out here screwing stuff up early. Thanks, Blitz. It's actually not his fault. All right, 12-team Superflex, half tight end premium, lineup start 10, Mike. NFC East. Well, the lineup start 10 in particular.
Yep.
And then looking at the, I think this is a 6 for 2 and a best ball, we're already having a totally different conversation than lineup start 10 probably.
A little bit, yep.
But in lineup start 10, you're getting Jalen Hurts and you're getting Dalton Schultz. You are coming off of Jaden Reed, Sam Laporta, the 204, 206, and 207, as well as the 106 from RX Goose, which I feel like, Mike, I'll be honest with you, if you are trading in this league, there's a pick of RX Gooses involved in some capacity. It feels like every single time I look at a trade from this league.
Usually.
So
if you remember, probably a month ago, maybe a little bit more, the same league was on. One of my deals was also featured from there.
yes,
I traded for that 106, and I sent away Chris Olave.
it was the Olave pick, right? Yep.
I got 106 and 206 maybe? Yeah, I think it was 206.
There it is. RX Goose is both of his picks, right?
So if you wanted, instead of the 106, hypothetically, if you wanted to make that Chris Olave, you very well could too.
Yeah, we'll break it down both ways, actually. Okay, so right now, Mike, 3 seconds, the 106, Laporta and Reed. Now, when I look at this on the surface, in a lineup start 10, we'll pull up the warp here in a second, but 106 is one of those picks, Mike, where maybe there's one of the top 3 quarterbacks. You probably have a chance to get McCarthy, or like one of the this is a post NFL draft, correct?
Yes.
So
sir. Yep.
in a post NFL draft, like you probably have a chance to get one of the top 4 if those 4 go in the top 10. However, if you think about it logically, like where that fourth quarterback's going to slide in, it's like Jared Goff territory, realistically in startups, right? Fourth round type range, maybe 5th.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 seconds. And listen, I like Laporta quite a bit, and I like Jaden Reed, but you're getting back a tight end that's, I would say, unlikely with all the weapons they have there to have Laporta's upside, but he's a top 12 scorer if he stays healthy. I think pretty easy. And you're getting an elite territory quarter. Like this is puzzling to me.
This is the team that I was pretty excited about. We talked about it in 42, this exact one. I went through every move from winning the league the first inaugural year during COVID when we did a lot of leagues in 2020, tearing it down to nothing and now being back in championship contention. So here we are again. Here we are again.
I mean, Mike, the other thing is too,
listen,
all those seconds
don't
don't get it done for me. Like that's, I think, the biggest thing for me.
I was kind of shocked when the counter came back and it was just this. And,
I was going to get to that. Like, this is one of the wildest part is when you go screenshot and his name's at the top. But
yeah. So it was just easy.
What?
It's like,
now, let's pull all the cards on the table, especially since you already went there. Like, what was your offer? Like, how does this become the counter? Is my question. How do we get here?
The first one. The first initial offer was that 106, 206, another second, it doesn't list what it was here, and a 25 first. And the 25 first wasn't mine, it was for a team that I still have it, obviously. I didn't trade this away. But one I'm heavily betting against because this team is old and disgusting and, could fall apart at any given notice. Like, this could be the 101 next year.
Okay.
It has that possibility. So
well,
I was like, well, let me send that one. Let me send this 106. I'll toss a couple seconds on and we'll see if we can't just, like, this is my offer for Jalen Hurts. And the counter was less than what I was initially offering, at least in my opinion.
Because you sent a 25 first, and he wanted 2 seconds back instead at the 204 and the 205, right?
Yeah,
or 207. Sorry.
And if you want to say he added a couple seconds onto it, and he changed the 25 potential early first to Sam Laporta and Jaden Reed.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Okay.
And then tossed me back Dalton Schultz on
the flipper.
The up. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do you think he listens to you? Maybe he's like, listen, I think I can at least get Laporta out of him because this.
This is a newer manager too. There's a newer manager who just took over an orphan too.
I was just going to say this has to be because I have not seen him on any trade so far in this league, and I've been looking at it with you for 3 years now.
In my opinion, I have the top 2 tight ends in the league, at least dynasty-wise. I had Laporta and I have Trey McBride still. Just the way you can see here on the tight end warp, I definitely wanted to liquidate them for value somewhere. whether it was a receiver. So to use him to go get another quarterback was fantastic because I was already set at quarterback, but if I could upgrade my QB2 to an elite guy like Jalen Hurts, like I'm all in. I'm doing this. Not to like flex or anything here on this one, Adam, too, but just the way the team is built, I couldn't pull Jaden Reed off my taxi squad last year. Like, I didn't have room for him. I couldn't justify moving him off taxi because he wasn't going to start. And, Jaden Reed had a pretty decent year last year. So, I don't know. I guess, fuck it, I am flexing. We're flexing out here.
I was going to say...
I couldn't find a spot
Mike,
for Jaden Reed in my flex, for fuck's sake.
I was going to say, Mike, don't be that guy that says not to do this and then do this.
Yeah, I'll get into it.
But I just want to give people context. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, sprinkled in with some Trey Lance and Mac Jones at quarterback. We have Bijan and Brees. So lineup start 10. We don't have to have two of the good ones, but we have two of the great ones.
One and two.
We got Nico Addison. We have Jonathan Taylor, Pacheco, Pickens. We're looking at also Chris Godwin to round up the receiver room. This did take you out of the 24 picks
Class.
until 310 all the way. But you still got Trey McBride at tight end. Here's, I guess, if you look at it from the lens of, let's take the warp out, by the way, because real quickly before I drop that, a top 5 scoring tight end in this league could be offset by Sam Laporta. But he has to be the tight end 1. And Jalen Hurts, if the quarterback, he could be the tight end. I'm sorry, the wide receiver. I'm picking all the wrong positions. He could be the quarterback 8. And he's still going to be a upper quadrant player. Like, you have to be the difference maker over the last 5 years to get into this mix of over 2. So it's one of those things that now you have control of 3 elite quarterbacks. With I think the way Dak scored, he could be. I'm curious what your next move is. If you're planning to roll with all these guys, or if you're thinking, are you thinking hold or liquidate the quarterbacks here?
I want to move. I want to tear down that QB3. I'd love to tear down Dak.
That would be beautiful. What would be a tear down you'd be willing to go to? Are you talking like go down to like a Stafford type? Are you talking go to
give me a quarterback with a job at least for 24, like a solid enough job. But I don't want to be a sketchy ass. A good one is like if Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback for Minnesota, right? They don't draft a guy.
You're saying you don't count him.
I don't want to be in the Sam Darnold market because that is like, what if he plays really shitty? Then we're going to look at what Nick Mullins or whoever the fuck else they're going to bring in as like competition just to get by for this year. I don't want to be in that one. Stafford's a good one though. Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, possibly like something along those lines.
Rodgers,
but they don't carry a ton of dynasty value, but like I know if I got to start them, they're probably going to be there for me. Yeah,
the quarterback 3 in the lineup start 10 is that, for me anyway, that's the quintessential, like, this is what I'm trying to go find. Stafford, like, gross, but if Dimes was the quarterback after this year, like, I would, if I get down to that range, though, by the way, I just want people to understand that that's what I'm getting back, but I'm getting from Dak, you're going to have to break me off with something really nice in order to take that type of a pivot down to even a Stafford, down to a Rodgers, down to a Dimes, down to whoever that quarterback 3 is. But the whole idea is the idea is now taking whether that is draft picks, players, whatever it is, and re-rolling it back into the starting lineup.
The end goal is to upgrade the wide receiver position, to get some true studs that I don't have to think about who's starting every week, right?
Yeah, because I think people probably would beg the question.
Decent. Nico Collins is decent, right? George Pickens, Chris Godwin, like those are fine assets, but I need some hammers. So, and I mean hammers, even if that tends to be like the Mike Evans or Keenan Allen types of last year, like those old crusty vets, but they're just elite players when they're healthy and playing. Like Tyreek Hill might be a pretty good target for me, right? Like that's the kind of range. Not a lot of people are going to move CD. Not a lot of people are moving Jefferson or Chase or Amon-Ra even. Puka's going to be a tough get. A.J. Brown, it might be a tough get, but Tyreek Hill might be doable.
Right. I guess because I think people might beg the question, given the team you have, would you? I'm not answering the question. I'm asking it. Would you be better off, or they would be thinking, would you have been better off just having Mahomes, having Hertz, or I'm sorry, having Mahomes and having Dak, and then rolling with at 106 you take Rome or you take Malik or whatever wide receiver makes it there.
Possibly, but then we always got to remember, like, my window to compete really, it's maximized for 24 right now. If I'm relying on that rookie wide receiver to be that hammer, relying on rookies is a sketchy bet anyway. So like that's
I don't
tough to
disagree.
do.
I'm just saying it because even then maybe you take Rome, let's say, and you got the 25 first still out in the future, right?
Yes.
Like, could you take a Rome in your 25, or like you put Rome and Little Man, and it's like, all right, now you go get a hammer. Like you stack CD and Dak together. Now, the reason I would people probably ask that. The reason I say that I think you did still the right move is it's a lot easier typically when Warp looks like this to trade out of the guys at QB and go get somebody else that's a stud skill player. But I do agree. I think the only thing that this team's possibly lacking is a pop off the page wide receiver one, right? Someone that gets in this top left upper quadrant, right?
Worst case scenario, Adam, you're looking at taking like an Addison or a Nico Collins or a George Pickens if somebody's interested in them, and packaging them with that first.
Correct.
And getting a very similar return to what you would have got with an Adunze.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably true. I think ultimately you probably know your league better than others, and
and then you're still sitting there with 3 elite quarterbacks. like I'm good, man. I'm fine.
Oh no, I'm just kind of, I wanted to walk through the points because
for sure.
If people are in that position where they're not sure to overfill quarterback or not, because it's such, I mean, Mike, this is I think a light price, but on the light price given what we want to do with our teams and lineup start 10, but on the surface, someone could be like, man, Rome, Laporta, Reed, plus all these seconds, they might feel like it's too much. I think Jalen Hurts right now, this is just, to me, the driving point home from this. Jalen Hurts is undervalued in Dynasty. This is just ridiculous in my opinion.
Right. It's also something, too, that manager just showed that he's kind of willing to, take a little bit of a discount to kickstart the rebuild. And he has a few interesting pieces that, right now I don't really feel like buying, but could go back to the well later. And kind of see what's up. Deontay type, Keenan Allen is on his team, that kind of stuff. Like, doesn't really fit you. So maybe you want to move off of him. But the big thing for me was, even if it was Jalen Hurts, whatever, I wanted to invest in more hammers up top, more big-time players. Jalen Hurts definitely is that at the quarterback position, even though I was already good there. And it didn't really cost me anything because I wanted to definitely get off of one of those tight ends, right? While the market is still overvalues some of these tight ends sometimes. And it was tough. Nobody else in the league was biting on a Sam Laporta or Trey McBride trade. So it was nice to have some fresh blood in here. It was like, oh yeah, like I'm interested in the Sam Laporta. All right, say less, man. I've been trying to move him for the last 3 months and nobody's biting.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand, too, if people are like not wanting to bite on Sam Laporta to get to a elite quarterback. But this package is not just that when you throw the 106 in. However, like outside of the 106, I mean, I know people are up and down on Jaden Reed. So maybe you found the person also that really does like not just Laporta, but Jaden Reed, too.
Jaden Reed, yeah.
So, interesting one. Let us know what you think of that one. All right. Wow. Let's talk about a former Chargers receiver and one to be a former Chargers receiver. Mike Williams is playing for the Jets. Quentin Johnson, We'll see how long he keeps playing for the Chargers. Kendrick Bourne coming off the injury, ACL. Flying Dogs is sending him the 303, the 310, the 311 in Shit Auction 3, Mike, which is a 12-team, 2-quarterback, best ball, start 12. It's tight end premium as well. Where are you at on this one?
So I understand what Koopa's doing, and Koopa would be the best one to defend his trade. I don't like it, though. I know Koopa's our guy. He's South Harmon team through and through.
I've got to imagine Rookie Warp is involved in this somehow.
I would imagine Rookie Warp is, but the thing for me, the only reasons I would disagree or have pushback on it, why I say don't like it, is because this was an active, ongoing, pre-NFL rookie draft, right? Where you and I had talked about the wild swings you see, especially in third and fourth round picks from pre-NFL to post-NFL, right? I would say post-NFL, when everybody's a little bit more sure of landing spot and draft capital and all that stuff, like that is ironed out.
Right.
Rookie warp definitely probably comes into more play there for me. Like it does, because we're a little bit more certain. We got another piece of the puzzle. We got a little bit bigger picture. You're still going to find those guys who hit, obviously. Like that's going to happen. I just don't think it's as much, Adam. When we were going back and looking at all those classes and just comparing ADPs from pre and post, like we were kind of shocked at like some of the guys who had third round draft capital, fourth round, fifth round. Only one person took them in their UDFAs. But then you find out on draft night, they're like, hey, they were early day 3. You know, like they were the 402 in the NFL draft, and they went to a decent situation. Like you could have seen that coming. And post, you saw them maybe move up into the third round, like they were somebody's sleeper, somebody's darling. Pre-NFL draft, like they had no buzz whatsoever. Nobody gave a shit because we didn't know. So if I'm going to do this, I would say for me, post-NFL draft, yes. Pre-NFL draft, no fucking way, man. I don't want to buy into Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston, and Kendrick Bourne for 3. What could be, if one of those hits is going to far outweigh any one of those players, let alone all of them combined.
Okay. I mean, the way I think about assets and things, I tend to agree. I'm just let's pull up what I would imagine speaks to. I can't speak for Koopa, but I can use what I don't know. Is this speaking Koopa? Just pulling this up, right? Like I feel like
it's speaking Koopa. It's like binary.
Okay, so I look at it. Top 50 receivers are going to give you, let's call it, a half of warp. You're getting 3 of them that probably he feels like have top 50 weeks. And probably these guys all, debatably, could give you, top 24 weeks. So I'm guessing it's more of a just throw volume receivers that while it's not the greatest, you're looking for, I don't know, you get 2 or 3 weeks out of these guys a piece, right? Like, can you get 2 or 3 weeks out of these guys a piece? And then you win, I guess is probably what he's thinking. My problem, Mike, is that when I look at the rookie warp, this, I guess, is where, okay, you talk about so this is the 36th pick type thing, at the late third.
Mm.
So it's, closer to 0. But in pre-NFL draft, to what you're speaking to, Mike, I think that while if you get the rookies that are that far down, that means you missed, really, is what that means. Like, you got – like, there's chances in the third round where you end up netting one player that's nowhere near that in warp. Not just in warp, though. That's a rookie warp, which means there's going to be some value bump coming in that specific player. So I guess to me it feels like it's a safety move of just trying to get bodies. And I don't know. I guess it's because Mike Williams has always been hurt and is getting old, and Kendrick Bourne's coming off of being hurt, and Quentin Johnson, like, I just don't love investing in almost at any price. Is the reason I don't feel good about the trade, honestly, if I break it down that way.
You got 2 wide receivers coming off an ACL, and the other one who busted in spectacular fashion as a rookie.
Right.
Who is playing in a low-volume passing offense, which maybe his role is replaced. Like, shit, right now I did see it was just – I'm sure it was probably said in jest in the Discord by our guy Jay Jackson, but he might be wide receiver 4 on a shitty passing offensive team right now before they add anybody. Like, to be completely honest, like Josh Palmer might be above him. Fuck, Darius Davis might be above him. I don't know who else or how they value him. It's a new regime there too, so they may hate this guy and just bury him forever.
Yeah, I mean, like the reason I was saying the wording I use, I think, was kind of telling to my view of it. It's like you're trading out of the unsafe picks for these players. I just don't feel like I got safety back, though, if that makes sense in the players.
I can let you know exactly what they became, too, if you want. If you want that context.
Yeah.
Theo Johnson was the 303.
Okay. Oh, that's a little earlier than some of the drafts we've been taking them in. Okay.
Johnny Wilson was the 310, and the 311 was Jermaine Burton.
I mean, well, I'll say let's see, because here the one thing about the pre-NFL draft is especially once you make him names. Now, I don't know that that's who Koopa was going to draft. Did he draft those players and trade the picks, or was it?
No.
I'd imagine. So Flying Dogs made the picks.
Yep.
When you start putting names to it, Mike, what if after the NFL draft, Burton and Wilson really didn't get draft capital really at all? Like now all of a sudden, we're having a different combo. This to me feels like you're getting into
what happens if
what's
they're
safer.
both day 2 picks though.
No, Mike, I'm saying there's definitely upside. You could hit Johnny Wilson. I just did a mock draft based on a mock draft where Johnny Wilson was a second round pick. Like
Just some examples though, like of what else it could have been, right?
Sure.
Javon Baker went after the Theo Johnson pick.
Okay, so you could add him at 303.
Could have had Jalen Polk, who I ended up taking, to
Where-
305.
305, okay.
Malachi Corley, I know some people love him. And then for like 310, 311, Will Shipley went in the 4th round, early 4th. Ray Davis,
What?
Spencer Rattler, Devontae Walker, Brendan Rice, Jacob Cowing, Cade Stover, Luke McCaffrey. Like, these are all some interesting names that went in the 4th. Isaiah Davis. I know if Christian listens to this one, he's a big Isaiah Davis fan. He'll know that.
I will tell you the tight ends probably
Isaac
didn't.
Guerrero. Isaac Guerrero, like my favorite dude, where I got way too many shares of. I took him at the 501 at him.
I got a bunch of Guerrero, and I also got a lot of Shipley. So we'll see how they go.
I'm just saying, like right now in a pre-NFL draft, I couldn't do it for that caliber of return. Like I really
will
can't.
say all those tight
two
ends
dudes with busted ACLs and
all those tight ends that you mentioned, like Coop was probably laughing, just thinking like he don't care
Like,
about
who
the
cares?
tight end position.
Right.
But I get what he's doing. I guess this is Mike. Can I tell you? I think it makes sense because for me, what hangs me up is the players and their situations. But when I think about what he's doing, I 100% get it, and I feel like that's exactly what speaks to Koopa. Like he's making a play based on not necessarily the players he's getting. He's getting out of picks that he feels like pre-NFL draft have a lot of risk that could be nothing in his lineup, and he's getting what he feels like are crusty producers potentially. So we'll see how that shakes out. I lean your way. I actually wouldn't have made that trade, but this is where I ain't Koopa, and I also have one title to show for anything, so I can only speak so far. All right, Grew Nuts.
password is taco.
What do we? Can you read this trade, Mike? I don't even know.
What's going on?
I don't.
Somebody loves
It's Nico in the
Collins.
309 for Mike Evans and Cooper Kupp. It's
Somebody
12 team Superflex, half PPR, or full PPR, half tight end premium. Lineup start 11. Password is taco. Not sure what the context is of that. I imagine it's probably something pretty sweet, but I'm left out.
I guess maybe the Nico side was done before the Diggs acquisition, because there was a moment there for Nico for a good chunk of time where we were like, hey, yeah, I see somebody on the YouTube comments chirping about my previous Nico Collins take back in season with the Brees Hall Nico Collins trade. And while it's warranted, it is a miss, but listen, man, you know where Nico was at before the Diggs trade. Like where people were starting to come around and going like, yeah, like maybe the Texans, after they traded out of the first round too, by the way, maybe they don't address wide receiver position. And this is the Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and boom, baby, CJ Stroud show. And then Stephon Diggs kind of changed all that. So maybe this trade was done before the Diggs one. Like, that's kind of what I'm going to get at. Because if this was done post, it's like I don't have any defense for you at all.
Well,
I don't understand it. It's pick Nico or Kupp or Nico or Mike Evans. It's like the same picture, man.
Well, what I can tell you is that is it Grew Nuts? I don't know, but whatever it is, Mike, it's a old stuck rebuilder. No picks in 20. Old no. You got no first in 24. You got 309, 310. You don't have your own picks in the first or second round here. You got age everywhere, dude. Like, I think this is a kick in the teeth, but kickstarting your rebuild attempt.
Like feel like you have to.
Yeah, like, because, Mike, here's what you got. You're looking at Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, Alvin Kamara, Tyler Lockett, Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Tannehill, Michael Thomas, Darren Waller, Zach Ertz, Tyler Higbee. This feels like a team that tried to contend and was so far from contending or just got an array of bad luck and is just so stuck.
They're really trying to get some youth on their team now.
How do you get rid of all these old assets without probably taking one on the chin? I feel like this is what this trade is, in my personal opinion.
Like, I just got to do it. Let me ask you, because our philosophy, too, like, we've been in that situation, right, Adam? You got a failed contender or, maybe one that finished second, right? But you look at it and you go, like, the odds of me actually being able to successfully run this shit back next year is probably not very good. Like, I'm just going to constantly keep pissing away dynasty value and redraft type production because
that
my
team that I just
is
named
aging out.
That team that I just named is not competing, guys. It's just not.
But hypothetically, we've been in that same kind of thing. Like, it's tough, right?
I get you.
We've also been stuck with these old aging assets, and my philosophy has always been, like, now is probably the worst time for me to try to fucking trade these guys, right? Everybody's in rookie mode. Everybody's in value acquisition mode. What's young is hot. We're going to ascend people to QB1 overall status that shouldn't be there just because they're young, like that kind of stuff. I'm probably waiting until July, August, like when the redraft crowd comes back and all the podcasts are talking about redraft and their underdog leagues and Scott Fishbowl and all this stuff, right?
When was the trade?
Was Football Expo time, and then I start to like, hey, who's interested in Cooper Kupp? Oh, fuck yeah, Cooper's going to produce this year.
Yeah, this trade wasn't the Diggs trade on the 4th last Wednesday.
Yes, I believe so.
This trade via the lab was on the Tuesday, so. Make this trade for Nico, and then the next day
felt good, and then just
you kind of got kicked in the teeth here, and then you got really kicked in the teeth a day later. Like,
that's rough. That is rough.
I mean, if you're making this trade, Mike, again, we would probably at this point be talking about they could bring someone in, but it's a talking point versus an actuality, right?
It's not actually Stephon Diggs,
right? Now. I will say, Mike, if this was a little bit better, like if this is a second, I actually think now, we've already discussed this, but I think now, if this is the move they make, they don't go draft a young first-round guy, and they have a Diggs on a one-year rental, like it could be actually a better thing for Nico in Dynasty. It may not be this season for him a better thing, but it could be a better thing for Nico in Dynasty if he gets extended. The old price was ridiculous, and it's going to settle from that point, and now it's probably more palatable. But yeah,
it's definitely trending down.
This is, I think. Let me ask you, Mike. If you had a team in a start 11 league that was loaded, like let's go back to your situation you had before.
Yep.
You're not making this trade for Nico, right?
If I'm already loaded.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm using that team I have Nico Collins on it, but just substitute him with somebody similar.
Let's just say, Mike, you had Evans and Cooper Kupp. Would you trade that for Nico?
No.
Okay, I think.
But conversely, if I'm in the position and I had, let's say I do have Nico, right?
Yeah, if someone offers you Evans and Kupp, would you take it?
For my Nico in the third, at this point, no, right? Like, because I'm
That's
shooting
kind of
higher.
where I'm at. You want to go higher, right?
I want to go higher.
The thing is, I feel like this is what's interesting is, Mike, I was just going to say what you just kind of did. I don't love it for either. I will say for Obi, I think Obi got a gift in that you traded Nico a day before the news.
Yeah.
But Mike, I would not have taken Mike Evans and Cooper Kupp for Nico in the 309 worth what his old value was, if I'm being honest with you.
Right.
So who wins?
Good news for Obi, he doesn't have a super team though. He's more of those middle.
I know. I'm saying who wins.
Neither. It's both losers.
I know. I don't. Feels like I watched a draw, Mike. Like I don't.
This is kissing your cousin.
All right, let's get to a new trade. Dynasty Alex wants to be back and wants to show us that this time he's in a better situation, and he learned from his prior lashing of last week. Mike, do you think he did? Noah Fant and Smitty, 4, Tyreek Hill in a 12-team, Superflex, 2 tight end, PPR, half tight end, 0.75 tight end premium, best ball start 11, shit wars.
No, I think you took another L here.
Mike, I ranted.
I like Fant too. Man.
There was a great comment, Fant rant. Because I talked for like 12 to 15 minutes on Fant. I love him. But Mike, you know why I like him? He's an 18th round starter pick. He cost a late third.
That's right. That's why you love him.
Mike, if someone added a 309 to Devontae Smith, are you even thinking about giving him Tyreek Hill?
You probably got to come with the first, man. To be
what
honest,
I was going to say, what pick number does that have to be? Give me a number in the class. Like I'll give you questions. 205.
110. 205 in Devontae Smith in a best ball league? No.
This is pre-NFL, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm not in this league. I'm pretty sure it's post though.
Oh, this is a copycat
Shit Wars
shit.
2.
All right. Shit Wars 1 was no Mike's league. All right.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of shit leagues out there. I'm not affiliated. All right.
I know, but
you're officially South Harmon.
You're in a Shit Wars though, so that's where it becomes a little convoluted. All right, 201.
There, you're in the range.
Okay. I was gonna say I think it's
early second.
205. I think is where the talking point could start. I'm kind of with you. If it's 202, 203, 201, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued enough to talk. But Mike, I mean, it's Tyreek Hill.
It's Tyreek Hill. He was in this league a 2-warp player.
I will say Dynasty Alex, I feel like here though is basically like, okay, last week I lost the trade. This week I'm putting my money where Adam's mouth is. We're gonna find out if this is real. I'm gonna pull up his team. I just want to see. What if you were rebuilding?
No.
I'm asking the question because I want to make sure we cover the basis here. But I'm not sure that he thinks that he is. He has what I think the lab grades lower because it's a lot of, more like 10th to 15th round picks. Like,
right.
You got, that's what you want in best ball. But I can't see a scenario where I'm doing this, man. I think Noah Fant could end up being a top 12 finisher, but I feel like he has got to be to even make this a conversation.
The warp on tight ends in this league is dog shit, too.
Oh, all right, let's pull that up, too. I hadn't even gotten to warp yet. I was just looking at his team and discussing the build. Let's take a look at warp. Shit Wars. Oh, boy. I'm nervous. No, it's Shit Wars 2. Don't look at that one. Shit Wars, all right? Don't get them confused. Oh, my goodness. Wow. So, Mike, let's say he hits the tight end 12 range.
Which would be a win for us on a sleeper who's getting drafted in the
This was much like my Tucker Kraft claim of last year, Mike. That's right. I said when I look at warp in this league, I think Tucker Kraft is a win. I said I think we won if Tucker Kraft gets to tight end 18. And in that league, that means nothing for you. Well, I think he is like right around there, by the way. He's like tight end 21 or something. He's similar. And he means nothing.
It's still meant nothing.
Like tight end 12 here is like 0.6 in warp, man.
No one cares.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit. You're talking about Tyreek last year was a 2-warp player, man. Which Smitty had a decent year, right? It's not that he was terrible. He had a decent year. He had a Devontae Smith-like year. That's kind of what you can expect as long as A.J. Brown is there, Adam.
All right.
Tyreek Hill is doubling his ass up in warp by himself. And now you add in, 0.6?
Can I tell you the other problem?
Took an L.
Can I tell you the other problem is like every Philadelphia player that's not named Saquon Barkley is down in price. I just watch what
everyone.
Mike, if I'm all white bricks 30, when Dynasty Alex sent me this offer, I shit a brick, literally. Like
boom, I'm in.
I read it 3 or 4 times, made sure it's all right, and that's just too easy, man. Like, what do we? I can't do this. I can't. I'm not. I don't. I'll defend Noah. I'll defend Noah for quite a bit, Mike, but I can't do it here, man. Dynasty Alex. Alex, do you and Blitz have like a little bit of beef? Is this is he pulling the one specifically that he knows we're gonna grill? Like, what's going on here? Am I being played? Is this a prank?
Hey, look, Tyreek Hill's another trade. It feels like we might have a Tyreek Hill thumbnail, huh?
Yeah. Mike, I love when they don't even crop the player in better. So it's like, I don't know if you can see that, but where you can 100% tell it's a generic jersey. Like we got so much of no number there. I just love that. It's so bad. 108 or Tyreek Hill. We got 3 people with eyes and 1 person with a flame. This is shit auction redux. So the worst part about this, Mike, is I know Tyreek Hill was on my team, and I know Doc Bros was the guy that took over my team, and I know that now Mello is reaping freaking Tyreek Hill, but it's okay. So it's a 12 team, 3 Superflex starting players, so basically 3 quarterbacks, and you got PPR, halftime and premium, and best ball start 13. Where you at here, buddy? 108 is in the range of, if things break right, maybe getting McCarthy or Bowers.
Heady move from Mello, knowing the league format, knowing that it's a bunch of people who pay attention, have access to the warp tool, and know that there's 3 Superflex in this league, and there is no fucking way in hell even J.J. McCarthy, who people may be down on, was going to be there at the
Bowers
point.
might. That's why I said if things break right, because McCarthy won't, but Bowers could. But let's pull up the warp. Let's pull up the warp to see.
Bowers was there, and that was the pick.
Okay. Now let's pull up the warp.
Quarterbacks.
Well,
running backs.
I mean, hello starting 3 quarterbacks. Guess what you want to have, right?
Yeah.
What is interesting, though, Mike, is that it's possible, because this is 5-year data. In over 5 years, there's actually been a position ahead of QB, which is honestly crazy to think. Now, to give context, when you do the 3 Superflex thing, like Mike inherently had to juice down some of the quarterback scoring just because it's ridiculous. But even still, Mike, the fact that a running back can get ahead of a quarterback in 3 Superflex is wild. I think what I look at, though, if I'm making the trade, which I would not, by the way, I would take Tyreek Hill here. But if I'm making that trade, my bet is that Tyreek Hill doesn't actually finish as the top 6 wide receiver. He's still very good, but then if you look at the production from, basically if you're not on that really steep line, it's a slowly declining flat line, and I'm imagining he's tearing down the team that I had, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, I
would too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a in the title with Rip and COVID. Or not, actually, it wasn't COVID. It was Damar Hamlin's situation. It made me have to kiss Rip, and then this year we fell off a cliff. But I guess point is, though, if you're trying to get off of receivers, I bet you this is. What would you have sent in this league? What do you think you'd be willing to take back here in a vacuum?
There's a reasonable explanation if you really want. If you look at single year warp Adam on it for last year. Right, Tyreek Hill was amazing. We know that, but if you were to project him, like Adam, what would you say, like a wide receiver 6 finish, not out of the realm of possibility?
That's what I was saying. If he's at 6 or lower, yeah.
So if he's at 6, that's a 1.478. That was AJ Brown last year.
Right.
And let's say the pick ended up being Brock Bowers.
Look at the tight end warp is telling you.
Brock Bowers is historically good in his rookie year, like tight end 3, like an Evan Ingram type season from Brock Bowers. That's a 1.5.
Right.
So, you do kind of make out in the end because, though, the wide receiver line is so much lower just because quarterbacks, there's fucking 3 super flex spots and the running backs are juiced to the tits. It just inherently makes wide receivers a little bit more okay.
And I think that also with Brock, to your point, if he was a historically great tight end, he could actually beat Tyreek Hill in warp this year. But I don't even think to win this trade, you don't have to necessarily do that. Is Brock Bowers a top 8 tight end? If he is, his dynasty value probably on a warp line like this is all of a sudden he could be worth it. Especially if he has a hot finish down the stretch, and you can make the case where he's easily a top 3 tight end. I mean, right now he's already being valued as tight end 2. Now we know that likely only has down to go unless he just smashes it out of the gates. But I don't think it's bad, Mike. I think I would have stayed with Tyreek Hill and tried maybe to move him at a better time. I think Tyreek Hill's timing of a trade is what you're going to get. But
interesting, yeah.
I bet you weren't going to get much better than this if you wanted to pick in this draft. Right?
It'll be tough.
Like,
It'll be tough.
That's probably part of the problem.
Koopa ended up taking J.J. McCarthy 2 picks before. 2 picks before that.
At the 106.
I don't think he's fucking moving that pick for Tyreek Hill. To be
no,
honest.
for sure. What was 107?
Let me look at it again. Dunze.
Whew. I mean, it's definitely within reason. I probably would have preferred to hold on to Tyreek, but if you're just on board with I gotta start kicking some of these deals in. This is probably about what you're gonna get. So I think it was smart. I think it was a smart move by Melo, though. Honestly,
it's probably just my hate of tight ends, but it would have been like 107 if I'm tearing this thing down. Yeah, I'll take a Dunze over Tyreek in the rebuild.
The other thing too is Mike. I think part of the reason that tight end gets higher is you're starting 13, and it's like you get to that range. There's gonna be a lot of flex weeks for a decent tight end in this scenario. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how that shakes out. I think for 2 years though, Tyreek Hill could end up being that upper echelon of the slope. All right, Rashee Rice, Mike. Rashee Rice is dealing with a lot of dynasty chaotic
volatility.
Yes, thank you.
Volatility.
I don't think this is volatility. This is more like vomit.
This is terrible.
Brother, it's a best ball, and you're getting a asset of some sort for Goddard. I wish I had my Dallas Goddard trade on here because this is crazy, man.
I don't really need the lab or warp or anything to help me with this one. This is pretty easy. I will take the volatility of Rashee Rice over Dallas Goddard straight up. And if you in best ball just want to toss me the 211, then fuck you very much. Thank you.
If you're Captain Bubbles with 2 ends.
2 ends.
What do you have to do to make it a capital no? Like realistically, what has to does Rashee Rice has to be like incarcerated? He has to not play for you to win, I think.
In that car crash, you would have had to have something far worse happen. Right.
I feel like he's got to miss a year at minimum.
Yeah.
Like something drastic has to happen in court or something. Like I can't see how this ends up being a win for you.
The Chiefs came out and suspended him the next day. That's when you knew it was like bad.
Right.
Like they know something we don't, obviously. So that would have had to been the case.
I mean, I think there's probably a case to be made, Mike, that he misses a little bit of time. But we're talking about dynasty football here, and this is a guy that I think with the information I have right now, I wouldn't expect much of a suspension right now. It's not a needle moving value suspension. I think personally.
Did anybody call Dallas PD and find out for sure?
I think we maybe should call someone. Have somebody call Ghostbusters. Who are you gonna call?
Talk to some Dallas PD detectives. Find out.
Let me ask you this. Let's really dig deep here. Dupree, okay? In this league right here, Mike, would you rather have Dallas Goddard or the 211?
You can probably make a case for the 211. Probably fucking can make a case for the same thing.
I think the reason I said that is because I think the answer is probably Goddard, but I don't know if this is pre or post NFL draft. I don't know some of the variables. I'm just thinking if this is a 211 for Goddard, I think we could have a discussion. The problem is, I think we could have a really nice discussion on the 211 and Goddard. The problem is that's not what this trade is.
No.
Philly definitely got this with all the onions on here, Mike, and some more. This is spicy. This is wrong.
Let's get the whole thing, man.
Somebody got charged $1 million for a freaking Philly cheesesteak. This is ridiculous, bruh.
Every now and then I like a good jalapeno on my Philly.
Really, really rich too to do this as I don't know if this Captain Bubbles is doing some helmet scouting and being like, oh, okay, remember we talk about that? Oh, but I can get Goddard from him. All right, here we go. That's a L, my friend. That's what you got.
Hold this.
He got the wit out. You're without Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice.
No. Now, at least here, like, this is a different conversation, but no. I don't. You tell me, Mike. 12-team Superflex PPR lineup, start 11. Dynasty Degenerates. I love this.
This is a lot more fair if you're shitting the bed.
If you were panicking, this is actually like, all right, like, this isn't.
Yeah.
You didn't. I still think you bought low, but it's. I think Rashee Rice temperature. This isn't like really buying low, as you saw what we just witnessed with a trade ago.
One, it's a lineup start 11. This is a very good class, especially for wide receivers. We've seen it in these pre-NFL rookie drafts we did, right? Like, that could be Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey. Very likely.
I know. I just... All right, keep going.
I'm just saying, for example, if I had a few too many shares of Rashee Rice that I didn't feel comfortable with, that I'm sitting on, in a portfolio move, I'd take this fucking thing all day just to help me out. Like, let me space this out a little bit. Let me get off a few of these in case it is worse than I anticipate.
I mean, I understand the case you're making, and I think there's a much more reasonable case to be made for this return. I know the way you and I play, though, we're not panicking on the current info that we have on Rashee Rice.
Correct.
Now, you already made the case this would be if you are. I'll just say this. Like, let's say, what do you think would be, I just want to use context on suspensions that are for things that are pretty bad. Like, I think a 6-game suspension is heavy. I'm not even talking for just this specific thing. Like, you get a 6-game suspension when you are, like, in trouble with the law big time, right?
Correct.
I feel like I don't think he's getting 6. But let's go heavy on it. Let's say you were worried that there's a 6-game suspension coming for Rashee Rice. I mean, I think that would be a fair thing to say, right? If you thought it was a heavy suspension coming at 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, if I have a receiver that just had damn near 1,000 yards with Patrick Mahomes in a year that he was down in production in his rookie season and looks like the number 1 option, like, I pray to God my 201 does that, and I'd be happy if he got a 6-game suspension and did that. That's my thing.
6 games is very extreme. Like, especially when you consider, at least for me, right? Alvin Kamara, like, beat the living shit out of somebody.
Mike, I'm making the extreme case for the record. That's right. I'm purposely. I'm yes, you're right. I'm making the case that this is a extreme suspension coming for him.
Right.
And then I'm basically saying, like, all right, obviously you don't want a suspension, but, like, Mike, what I just witnessed with him and how he was being utilized down the stretch in the playoffs, like, I'm praying my 201 is in any type of a situation to give me that, and I'd happily take a suspension on that.
Right.
I'm sorry, man. I can't do this even if I was panicked. I just can't.
I put it in the context of Kamara put a dude in a hospital on fucking camera and got 3 games.
Now, somehow, the interesting part to me still is somehow in court, like, they weren't able to, like, 100%. The camera footage wasn't, you can't say it's definitively him.
What do you think happens in this situation where the only video so far we got is just there's a couple cars racing. You don't see who's driving. And you got some people who like the Twitters doing the detective work of, like, well, he was wearing that same shirt at this time and kind of looks like him. Like that kind of thing. Right? Like, that's where it started from. Now, since then, obviously has come out and said, yes, I was driving or whatever, but that's where it is. Like, it's a car crash. He was speeding, and there's no serious injuries at this point. This is what you know. Those are the facts of the case. Compare that with a guy who got 3 games for beating the hell out of somebody on camera. Like, it feels like the panic's a little bit too high. But the only thing I'll make a case is the portfolio thing, Adam, and because I do believe in what the 201 could be. You know, Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey. And I could see both of those guys getting draft capital and go into a situation where I'd go like, well, they're pretty damn close to Rashee Rice already.
Okay, Mike, can I also now, I want to do a little helmet scouting if you dig deeper, okay?
Yep.
Let's go back to this whole Philly thing. What do we know about Rashee Rice?
He shares the name with the greatest wide receiver of all time.
Fair. Shares the last name, a surname, but
Last name.
Mike from Philadelphia.
Oh.
And guess
There you
what?
go.
Guess what we got here in the helmet? You see that guy there? Always Sunny? Huh? Where's it always sunny?
In Philadelphia.
Goodness gracious. These people, you can't see it coming a mile away? What's going
Like
on
it.
here? Now,
Hey, League of Douchebags makes
now
sense.
I'm ready for Goat Rings to.
Make
I
an
haven't seen him in
appearance.
a while, but I'm ready for him to probably break somebody off. Let's see how
You've
bad
been
this
MIA
is.
for a while.
Yeah, League of Douchebags. Okay. Makes sense. 12 teams, Superflex, PPR, lineup start 11, Mike. It's a 1-for-1. Mark Andrews, Jordan Addy. Let's pull up Warp. I mean, this is, if there was ever a time to pull up Warp, I think this is probably it, no?
It all rides on that one.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Who's the douchebag now?
That's pretty bad, man.
Okay, Mike, let's say, what did Addison finish in points per game? About 24? Last
Give
year?
or take. Yeah.
Let's use a non-needle moving season. Let's say he just replicates that.
Doesn't
When
do
I'm-
anything better.
What I'm looking at in historical Warp here in this league is about 1.5.
Yep.
Okay. So you don't have to get your toes out for this one. How many tight ends give you 1.5?
Maybe 5.
Probably 3, maybe 5. Now, to be fair, I think Mark Andrews definitely could finish tight end 5. I think Koopa even told me he thinks that if there's a tight end to make a case for, like he's probably one of the few that could finish one. But that's also saying that you don't think Jordan Addison could take it. You don't think Jordan Addison could finish the top 15 receiver? Like
Could
there's
be
probably
like,
probably more upside if Andrews actually hits Mike on that side. Like if he
right.
is tight end 1, I think there's maybe a little more upside. But Mike, I mean, if we're doing odds, Mark Andrews to finish at tight end 1, 2, or 3, like 20%.
Yep. We
Okay.
had a pretty decent Devontae Smith season last year. And I think if you were to do Addison Smitty comps, right? Like what if Addison is finishing more in the Smitty range, which is top 15?
That's where I got him probably. I think a high end outcome for him is a top 15 receiver.
Which is about a 1.7 warp. Which,
Right. And now you're mitigating I think
like
a lot of the
tight end 2
risk.
territory right now.
You're mitigating a lot of the risk while not losing a ton of upside. The massive claim to upside is like Mark Andrews just balls out of control. Okay, he wins. Jordan Addison's probably not a top 5 receiver. Unless somehow they end up landing Caleb Williams out of nowhere or they get a quarterback that's outrageously good this year in the draft. Like
I love that rookie warp line too. Most of them we see are like neck and neck with tight end, right? Or tight ends above it. I don't think I've seen many where the rookie warp is actually just better through the top 18.
it's basically telling
Who
you
gives
that
a fuck?
it basically tells you that you shouldn't care about tight end unless you have the tight end. And I guess
Good luck on that
I
one.
guess point is that I guess the point is that the upside may slightly lean to the tight end position, but the downside far and away leans to Addison. Real quick, Mike, let's say he even takes a step back. Like there's a very strong case to be made that the top 30 to 36 receivers in this league are pretty valuable.
Yep. Can be tough.
So I feel like
tight end 30 or wide receiver 36 last year was Cooper Kupp, 1.3 warp. Which the equivalent tight end last year would have been George Kittle because there's a big fall off between him and Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet 1.1 warp and David Njoku 1.5.
what side do you want here? Is it Addison?
It's Addison.
Is it?
Sorry.
Is it? How close is it? What's the difference here? Like, would you be
I think
willing to pivot? Would you be willing to pivot to this Andrews side if there was what there?
If I'd be willing to pivot to the Andrews side on the team building aspect of it if I had a surplus of wide
Plethora.
receivers already You know,
Got it.
it is only a start 11. It is a lineup league. There is something to be said about plugging in a
Elite guy.
high-end tight end every single week. Like, I understand. Like, you could make that pivot and you could make that argument. But just right now on the surface, like, this just feels like an April heady warp move that I go, good luck to you, and I'll just go ahead and take Addison. And, like, the odds are probably already in my favor, but it doesn't seem that way, right? This kind of feels like you make the trade goes through, and you probably have, like, in a random league, you probably have, like, one or two people, like, chirping, like, how the fuck are you going to deal Mandrews away for a second-year wide receiver with no quarterback?
I was actually going to ask, like, you look at that, we got the memes now going, right? Like, there's a lot of, there's so much, speaking of upside.
Is that somebody bent over?
So, yeah, there's upside, right? Now, what's great is it's not just that, like, it's someone bent over and puking. So,
Good Lord.
One person definitely feels strongly about this trade. I really wish I knew which douchebag this was.
Yeah.
In the league of douchebags. And then
there's only two icons there, as you can see.
I really wish I knew who it was, and that, like, not just who, though. I want to know, like, I feel like there's a case to be made, just the way people value things, that it could be either way. I would love to know, like, which way they really want. So,
which side are you vomiting on?
You let us know, everybody watching. If you're watching at this point, which side makes you barf? To me,
That's
it's
a good one.
I don't know. Matty Gomes, baby. Oh, wow. Okay. Here's the question, Mike. I'm just going to give you a question. Straight shot out of a cannon. Brock Purdy or Watson at the 112?
Brock Purdy or Watson in the 112?
Let's go. Let's have that discussion in a Best Ball Start 12. We'll have the other discussion in a minute, which is Jamar Chase and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let's put them aside for a little bit. I'm not going to quite cancel them. I'm going to put them aside. All right?
Right. Watson in the 112.
Yeah.
I promise you, if you want to come at me for this Brock Purdy thing again, I can do this all day with you with Deshaun Watson and why I still like him. So it's fine.
You talking to me or the audience?
Talking to the community. Because
Okay.
there never
I was
going
gonna
to
say,
be
like,
somebody out there.
I was like,
And they're going to slobber about point per game finish last year and yada, yada, yada.
I know
we
I
can
know you
run
ain't yelling
circles
at
around
me.
this if you want.
You saw this go down in your league too. How was it a barf for you?
No, I thought it was a very good deal for both.
Okay, all right, cool. I just was using the reference of the meme. What I see here,
Which is, I give Matty Gomes a lot of shit, man, because I've gotten a few over on him, and I've seen some other people get some over on him, and it was like, hey, this is a pretty reasonable trade, Matt. Good job.
I think when I look at this, like if I'm making this trade, Shockwave does, which is for the Purdy and the Chase side. If you're betting on Purdy being able to hold on to this job and replicate last season, I mean, like that's the bet you're making, and if you hit it, historical warp says you're gonna win. Now, I have a hard time betting a quarterback that I think has higher range of outcomes than we've seen in the last 2 years. He's played 6 games apiece in the last 2 seasons.
Correct.
I think he has higher than...
Which is not good.
No, it isn't good. It is not good. I think he has higher range of outcomes than quarterback 18, 20, wherever he was last year, maybe even lower. But like I get making this trade. Now, is this a pre or post since you're in this one? NFL draft.
Post.
So at the 112, it doesn't really matter that much to me. I actually like the 112 better in a post, frankly, if I'm being honest.
It's a lot safer.
Yeah. So
Tiers have been condensed.
I even more so like the Matty side in a post NFL draft. In a best ball league, Mike, I have a hard time making this pivot to consolidate for Purdy. Not to say that you can't or that you can't end up winning that. I think it makes sense. Purdy's not the quarterback I want to do that for, is I guess the way I look at it.
I don't think it's so much for the Purdy for the Shockwave side. I think it's the perceived upgrade from Amon-Ra to Chase.
Really?
Yep.
All right, let's have that discussion. You used a pretty interesting, telling word, perceived value.
Perceived.
I think, Mike, I could see for sure a season where if they move on from T. Higgins, Jamar Chase gets this, animal-sized workload, 180, 190 type thing, right?
league-breaking type shit.
That is, I think, what the range of outcomes needs to be, where we say Chase is actually not perceived value over Amon-Ra.
That would not be perceived. It would be actual realized value because it would be damn near league-breaking.
Right. The reason I want to make that clear is because I don't think people realize that basically, in production standpoint, Amon-Ra's giving you Chase.
Yep.
They equal each other.
Yep.
I still will acknowledge they don't equal each other on probably excitement level, probably hype, name cachet, and startup values all speak to this, but I don't know. To me, in best ball league, Mike, that's the last thing I'm thinking is the big piece of the puzzle, if that makes sense. Like, especially in best ball, where it's super negligible unless you have, to your point, a league-breaking season. Like, take a look at this warp line. Like, let's say Jamar Chase is the one. Amon-Ra Brown's a top 5, let's just say, which is not like that's basically saying he's repeating what he was.
Yep.
0.5, maybe
at best. Yep.
That's like that. Like that's your home run swing. That's like I think if because even if he let's say goes to 7, like maybe you getting 0.7 in a absolute home run swing. I just don't think it is that big of a difference to me because in best ball, if they finish 3, 5, 6, anywhere in that range, it's completely voided over the course of the year. The way best ball scores.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down more to would I be willing to make this move for Purdy? I think the answer is no. If that's a different quarterback, I think I probably would be. But it just for me, it's not Purdy.
How much better does it have to get?
You got to jump me into the tier that is, I feel like, safe. There's a safe tier. If that's a Dak, Mike, I think I'd be willing to do it.
Tua?
I think I think so. I probably there, Mike. I don't know that I would do it today. But I think that's the line that I'm having. I'd rather have Tua than Purdy on face value. Like just 1-for-1, I'll pick Tua ahead of Purdy. But I'm not sure I make that trade for Tua today, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think if I can go to Dak, I think I'd make the trade. I think I would rather have Tua than Purdy here. So like I'd feel better about the Shockwave side. But at the same point, Mike, I don't think either one of those are needle moving enough for me personally. I feel like Dak and North. You give me Dak and North, and I'm like, all right, let's make it now. Let's just do it.
I'm really split on this trade, even though it like full context. I like Watson, and I rank Watson higher than Purdy because of the upside for him.
Right.
Like I think it's greater. But I'm completely fine with Brock Purdy too. Yeah. I really, really like Amon-Ra, and all your points you made, like so far in production, Amon-Ra is very equal, if not better, than Jamar Chase.
Sure, you can make the argument.
So just from a logical standpoint, I go, well, I get Amon-Ra, who's pretty close. I get Watson, and you toss me the 112. Okay, I really like that one. But from the other side, if I'm Shockwave, like if I got enough assets to do this, there's still a part of me, Adam, that's like, what if they do move on from T. Higgins? What if they trade his ass to Buffalo in the NFL draft? And now I'm looking at Jamar Chase with a CeeDee Lamb level target share.
Oh, absolutely.
All to himself. Holy Santa Claus shit. Like, I wouldn't mind betting on that one. Like, I wouldn't mind betting on 180, 190 fucking targets for Jamar Chase, which would be absolutely insane. So,
no, I mean,
I think it's fair for both sides. Like,
I don't think it's an uneven. I don't think it's an uneven trade.
I would have tried to like get that one other piece, no matter which side I was on, to like, there's my insurance, there's my little boost, but it's a fair deal.
No, I don't think it's an uneven trade. I'm just saying, for me personally, I would rather have the Matty Gomes side in a best ball league that I got to imagine Shit Wars 2
that extra piece feels like the insurance for you, right?
Like honestly, if this is lineup start 12 even, I think I'd be more willing to make this pivot even for Purdy, frankly. Like, I think it's that big of a difference in best ball and lineup. Because, Mike, I just want to go over Shockwave does have a very good team. Matty Gomes is also right there with him. But I just want to read these names because, Mike, here's the thing. Now you have Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, James Cook, Jamar Chase, Jordan Addison, Keenan Allen, George Kittle, Hunter Henry, and a start 2 tight end, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Jerome Ford, Aaron Rodgers. Then your bench, though, like now you're at Khalil Herbert, Ezekiel Elliott, Zay Jones, Greg Dortch. Like, Mike, I got news for you. That's not a deep team in a best ball league.
No.
Tell me on the bench, the people I started naming here. With the bench starts with Khalil Herbert, Ezekiel Elliott, Zay Jones, Greg Dortch. Like none of those guys are worth even close to the 112 in my personal estimation.
Yeah, that's not how you want to start your bench.
So I'm just saying, like, Mike, I get the bet on Purdy, and I think there's a very real situation, a real case to be made that Purdy can beat Watson by a sizable amount in WARP if he holds on to the job and does what he did last year. I think Chase could beat Amon-Ra in WARP, but if both of those things happen, you still need what? Khalil Herbert to have weeks, Ezekiel Elliott to have weeks. Now your first pick at the 211 to hit. Like, there's that's the case I'm making too. It's best ball. It's not as simple as, yeah, you want to go, if this is a 1-for-1 trade, Mike, I'm making the Jamar Chase side by a lot. We're starting 12 assets in a best ball league. I can't do this.
Do you know who loves it though?
Shockwave 360.
No, I mean just whoever's holding any of these guys' future first, right? Like who's holding multiple 25 first. I think Shockwave still has his. But Matt Gomes does not. But
okay.
Adam, similar to the OG shit league, you want to be that team who's in the rebuilding, holding the picks, and you want as many people thinking they're fucking contenders as humanly possible coming right out of a startup.
Now, Mike,
as you can see in my league, in that league, I am not a contender.
Right. You have high dynasty total value, but your redraft value is pretty low. Arguably,
by pretty low, you mean
you and Mr. Wonderful are right there. Actually, Mr. Wonderful has you by a hair. Don't discount Mr. Wonderful. He's very wonderful at going to the bottom.
Oh, that's good.
Now, Mike, to the point, like Matty Gomes now has the 111 and 112, but his bench is Austin Eckler, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Roshan Johnson, J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson. He also has a receiver. Not much, but you got J-Mo, Parker Washington, Michael Mayer, Brevin Jordan, Tyler Higbee. You had the 111, 112. Now, to your point, he doesn't have his 25 first, but it's like his team's not as good on paper, just on a starter's finish top to bottom. But the 111 and 112 are two pieces, whether you draft them or trade them, that can get you legitimate assets in a best ball league, man.
Yes. Yep. You should look to deal those before the draft. Be honest.
Yeah, what Mike said. Go get you some. Go play around. All right, Nick pick 6, shit auction 4. Let's finish this up, Mike. Let's wrap this up. Jake Browning, Will Levis, Jaden Reed, and the 112. Again, we're getting a little 112 action. Chuck White 58's pick, as well as our boy Cody 307. Right? Wow, for Amon-Ra in the 4th. Okay, Mike. Jaden Reed, 112, Will Levis. Or Amon-Ra.
A lot of shit.
Shit auction 4, it's a ton of shit.
It's a ton of shit. A ton of shit.
Where are you at on this consolidation now?
This is one of those moves I see people do a lot, Adam. And you know I'm not adverse to doing this kind of deal on my contending best ball teams. But it's always timing for me, right? In fucking April, I'm not doing these moves for a bunch of dimes and nickels for $1, you know. Can it pay off? Fuck yeah, I've done it before. I'll be the first to tell you. Like, I've built some monster contenders, but I usually do it in August when I know more. Like, I don't want to be betting on dimes and nickels in fucking April. Like, I want to hold my $1. And then in August, maybe I'll split that $1 up. But I couldn't do this one right now. I'd rather just have the Amon-Ra side than all these.
I want to talk about warp here.
Things.
I want to talk about warp in this league, Mike. Okay.
Yeah. Look how high that.
Albeit best ball. Yeah. Amon-Ra is a guy that in warp production, like what he's going to give you relative to all the other players that are going to be starting, is elite territory quarterback worth. Elite running back worth. Elite, it's all jumbled up there. Elite whatever position worth. Mike, let me ask you this. What does Will Levis and Jaden Reed have to do in production combined with, let's say, that 112 you actually hit on. Right now, the rookie warp says that is a 1 in warp. Let's say you even get that to 10. Let's say you get it to 1.2. Okay? Let's just say that you draft, all right, I don't know. Let's say that you draft there Ladd McConkey. He gets an early day 2 draft capital. He gives you a 1.2 in warp. What does Jaden Reed and Will Levis have to do to make you say that this was worth doing?
Both those guys got to be dudes like over 1 as well, right?
So Levis, I think, has to be, we would mark that as a top 18 quarterback.
Yeah, that'd be a real good year from Will.
Right. I'm trying to get benchmarks to
Right.
give probable cause to where this would end up having to hit.
I think if Levis hit as a top 18 quarterback and both Jaden Reed and that wide receiver at the 112, they both hit as wide receiver 3s or better.
Well, because if you just look at the line, you're looking at, to be a top 10 rookie pick, you're probably a wide receiver 24. I think you might need Reed and the 112 to be top 24 options if Will Levis is really only 18 to 20 at QB. Now, if Will Levis is better, you have a little more wiggle room. But I think, Mike, that's probably what you need realistically. And that, I'm just going to say, it doesn't sound impossible on paper. But the problem is, have you ever done a parlay, Mike?
It's the first 3 always hit. The 4th one just kicks you right in the tits.
The thing about parlays is, if you get 75%, you get 90% of them right.
Right.
You lose, okay? So
unless it's one of those underdog insured ones, where you get half the payout or whatever.
Now, can I give you a better one? Have you ever done a teaser?
No teasers.
So a teaser, Mike, is...
It sounds exotic.
It's exactly what the parlay is as far as you got to hit it all. But what they do is they front you the line. So instead of, let's say, you're looking at a line that's -7, the teaser will take it down 5. So now you have -2. I think that's what you're looking at. The odds have to come down here, right? You have lower odds than probably the normal line. But guess what? All 3 of them have to hit. Otherwise, you lost. Your slip's a 0. It's just not – it's not a winning trade. So I think there's a range of outcomes that's not unreasonable. But I think when you make this trade, Mike, first of all, Jake Browning to me, I'd like to have him, okay? I definitely would. Just not needle moving in this format, even at best ball. It doesn't make me change my values of this trade. Let me ask you, in this league, does the 304 to 409 do anything for you? Or, what's the difference there?
No, because it's a pre-NFL draft. It's basically the same shit.
Yeah, obviously I'd rather draft 14 picks ahead, but I'll draft plenty of shots in the 4th round and be happy.
Just for reference, right? The 307 was Devontae Walker. The 409 was Malik Washington. Can you tell me there's a massive difference between those 2 players?
No. I love Tez. I think that there's probably more upside for him, but I think that there's no guarantee on any of what they become.
Even if I change that, Adam, if I told you Jacob Cowing went after Malik Washington, right? What's the difference between Tez and Jacob Cowing? I fucking like them both. They're both interesting prospects, but I couldn't tell you a difference between the 2.
Same.
I had no
Different,
fucking clue.
But same. Yeah, no.
Luke McCaffrey went around that range. I couldn't tell you the difference between Tez and McCaffrey. So, it's the same shit.
Last thing that I want to look at here in this one is let's pull up. Let's do a little team digging.
Don't look at mine.
Okay. Well, here's my question. Does Nick pick 6? Did he pick 6 here? Does he have the team to pull this off?
No.
Okay, because I was just going to go to the other side before we ride out of here and praise Nick's pick 6 as this great. Mike, I think this is one of those trades that we just argued the other side why that would have to hit, but 3 for 1s, guess what else has to happen? That person has 3 shots at the tickets, and you get 1 slip, right? So let's see what his team is. Okay, so now he currently has Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. He's got Christian McCaffrey, Brock Bowers, Garrett Wilson. This is so right now this league, for reference too. You start a quarterback, you start a running back, a receiver, a tight end, and then the rest are flexes. His second flex is David Njoku based on startup values. Then it's Deontay. J-Mo is his 4th flex. You got Mostert, Chuba, Likely. Gus Edwards, Ty Chandler, Elijah Mitchell. I mean, we're getting to.
Yeah, I mean, look at his quarterback situation.
Mike, this is just
McCarthy's
not.
Super flex.
This is. I don't. All right. I don't. How are we gonna have two trades that I don't like for either side?
Either side.
I will actually say though that RS24. I think I get it, man. I think I do.
Also, another one with very shitty quarterback situation.
Which is where, like, I know it seems bad. You're going from Amon-Ra and you get Will Levis. You're like, oh my gosh, if this Mayo coffee drinker has a bad year, we could be out of the league. But I mean, Mike, Jaden Reed, Ladd McConkey, and Will Levis round out his starters. Like he needed a quarterback and he needed depth. So you're also going to have a hard time probably getting a lot higher than this and for 3-for-1s realistically. But what do you got?
This is a great league to like talk about, discuss too. Right? I hate it for both of them, but the league as a whole is interesting. Adam, obviously you didn't win it last year. You're still in this league, right?
Yep.
Like you're still a part of it.
Yep.
And I completely fucked this league up. Neither one of us are like sniffing a championship. So I would say the parity in the league maybe lends yourself to being a little bit more aggressive for some of these moves, because there's not a team in here where I go like, this team's a powerhouse. Like, you know, if I'm shit and I fucked it up, Adam doesn't have like a super contending team or vice versa. Koopa's in the league. I don't even know who the fuck won this thing last year. That's really just like how bad it is at top to bottom.
Yeah, no, I mean,
nobody's doing a real good job.
No, I mean, I definitely have, I would say, more of a top-heavy team that's not that top-heavy. I have a good quarterback room. I have solid receivers, but I don't have nearly enough depth. I think right now, Mike, this is one of those teams where I go in with the mindset of contending. I cut a bunch of these, Justin Shorters, Doolin. I cut a bunch of these guys, get bodies in there, see what happens, and if I need to go down to the bottom, I do. The problem is, and where I think what we're getting to is that you are definitely the team that's positioned to probably start leveraging the 25 class, and I think that's probably, I mean, at least on the surface, I think that's going to be the you want to get there before everyone else does, I'd imagine. So if I'm telling you right now, I'm not running that way. So, and nobody else has a bunch of picks, I don't think, right?
This is where QB hoarding at an auction goes wrong.
Right.
Okay? This is also where, man, I can't believe I bought Bijan essentially for what was just my 25 first. Like I say, I traded auction dollars. Or I got auction dollars for trading away my 25 or 24 first, right?
Right.
When we did the startup last year, and that ended up being Bijan, and you're like, oh man, this is fucking smash. And then you find out that pick's the 103 because I compounded it by going with this elite QB hoard that I was never able to move ever. And you spent way too much of your auction budget on quarterbacks, price enforcing, and being an asshole. This is the downside. This is why you don't do drugs. And then it throws the whole league off, Adam. We're all in fucking chaos.
Yeah, I think, Mike, I'll be honest with what we laid out. I don't love getting off of an asset that's so secure in Amon-Ra without getting what I feel like is really any security. The part of the problem with the 3-for-1 is like, if Jaden Reed isn't actually legit, if his snapshot doesn't come up, if he can't sustain a very high touchdown rate, if Levis isn't what Mike hoped that he was with, the addition of Calvin Ridley and, now they bring in Tony Pollard, and this offense is supposed to be a lot more, pass happy and should be scoring more points. If Will Levis doesn't come through, they could move on from him very shortly. And 112, I mean, God, let's be honest. 112s, they can absolutely hit, they can absolutely bust. I mean, that's where I have a hard time with it as far as the one asset being Amon-Ra, who's so secure. But when I look at this league and what's going on, I mean, I think you could make a case for both sides. I understand why S24 does it, but I still think he probably wins the trade, given when I look at this league, there's not a clear winner at the top. And if you're his team right now, you have your picks in 25, and you have arguably some of the best depth. And I think that if you keep doing stuff like this, like, dude, he still has Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Jaden Reed, Ladd McConkey at the QB room. By the way, who'd the 112 become? Was it Ladd?
I don't remember in that league. Let me pull it up and see what the draft
I think
said.
just based on what I'm seeing, it's got to be Ladd.
Probably Ladd because that's where Ladd went quite a bit. It was Ladd.
Okay, so Jaden Reed, Ladd McConkey, Will Levis. Like, I think in this specific trade, I take the Esparra side. But this could be looking very different depending on what the team's situations were. It's a rich bet for me if I'm Nick's pick 6 when I need depth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, must have been nice for all you people that have picks in this draft. I heard the 103. I didn't even have my own fucking pick. God.
Yeah. Well, as we said, that's why you don't do drugs when you're, in an auction draft. It just doesn't go well.
Hey, you live and learn. I definitely don't bat 1,000, man. So
No.
sometimes it's pretty shitty, actually.
Mike actually, while winning 7 leagues, there's some good, some good cooking disasters, right? I mean, it happens. It just
Terrible ones, man.
fires in the
Terrible
kitchen,
ones.
right? I mean, it happens. I'll be interested to see how that trade looks at the end. Mike, I will say there was 2 trades, which the more I try to argue one side, I can't pick a winner.
The more you don't like.
Yeah. And then there was this was a weird trade show. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be very honest with you. It was a weird trade show, but I'm curious to see what people think. There's a few of these trades as I'm looking back. Like, I could actually see the audience being really split on, which is kind of nice,
It's a good conversation.
Yeah. Like the Jordan Addison, Mark Andrews one, just that puking picture, the guy's bent over puking. I could see that being either side.
Puke.
Either side he hates puke. So
Who's puking? Answer me. I want to know.
I want to know. Mike, what did you think of the trade show today? Give me your reaction.
It's good. We did have some real gross ones, though. I felt like vomiting. It's like, I don't understand it for anybody. Everybody's a loser. Get off. You ruined it. I tried to start it off great with just an absolute 7 goat rings, breaking off an
I was
ATM
just about to
and
say,
somebody. Like, I tried, and I just couldn't carry it, Adam. We couldn't carry that momentum.
Can I tell you, though, Mike, when I said what I said last week and you laughed it off, so, what is he talking about? This is exactly... It took a mere week to prove exactly why I said what I did last week. Mike's trade last week was the most reasonable by a country mile. He starts off the trade show how this week? Let me get Jalen Herz for 106 and a bunch of seconds here, and take the tight end 1. I'll still take a tight end 1 back. Thank you very much.
We're rolling hot, man.
Kids, when you talk about doing drugs, don't forget, be very careful, who you do specific activities with. Be very,
I love
very
it too,
careful.
because that one comes through in the middle of doing 20 pre-NFL rookie drafts, like a D-gen.
Oh, that was on the clock?
Time to make no.
That's
Not
gotcha.
a pre-NFL draft. That's just another one of the leagues. I'm like, hey, we're running pure, man. I'm doing what I love, drafting rookies,
I see what you
pre-NFL activities all over the leagues, and even my ones who aren't supposed to be active. I'm getting Jalen Hurts for the cheap.
You know what, Mike?
It's pretty cool.
We're on the same wavelength, right? It's like we got all these shit leagues that are doing pre-NFL rookie drafts, and we're like, this lineup start 10 league. Let me see if I can get a couple deals done over here, huh?
Right.
I love
right.
that. I love that. Don't forget about that team just because it's not the prettiest right now, right? You're like,
Gentlemen, you had my intrigue. Now you have my attention.
I love this. By the way, if you want our attention, patreon.com/South Harmon. $5 tier gets you access to the completed trades channel as well as a lot of other cool things. We didn't go over spike weeks, consistency weeks on a couple best balls that I kind of wanted to get into, but we'll do that on a future show. I want to say that you already watched this. If you haven't, you're watching the trade show and you didn't go check the 4D chess episode from this week. Going to be a really, really good one. So
Banger.
You'll have a chance to see this on Friday. So if you're watching this and you haven't, go check that out. It's from yesterday. But we're going to be recording that tomorrow. We got some pretty cool data to look at. And let me just tell you, if you haven't watched it as well, CJ Stroud, Jalen Hurts, the person that started the trade show off, some of these quarterbacks, guys like Caleb coming in. We got some very good data pools and to give you some trajectory and ranges of how these guys really, based on what they are, their prototype, what they are skill set wise, how they're going to finish at the position. So make sure you're checking that out. It's going to be a really good one too.
Hell yeah. I'm excited for it.
I am too.
We recorded the trade show before that one, but I'm giddy for it. I'm giddy.
I'm ready.
What else I'm giddy for is, yes, you will have seen by this time the announcement will be made. There'll actually be a stream you can go to. But we are streaming the draft. Don't forget, we are doing tons of giveaways. 10 prizes. There'll be a graphic too, just so you can see them all. But Drake May, Xavier Worthy, Jonathan Taylor, full-size Drew Bledsoe signed helmet. We're giving lots of shit away. Jimmy Smith, Denzel Perriman. That's your dude.
There's a lot. There's a lot of signed shit being given away. Speaking of which, go check that out. Signed
draft
shit,
stream all 3 days.
Signed shit sh.it. Pretty much all the giveaways are coming from our partners over there. And make sure you're checking out the draft stream. Probably go hit that little bell. Make sure you don't miss. You're not going to miss draft round 1, but you don't want to miss being in the right place. But anyway, that's all we got. We'll see you back here, same time, same place, the next week for the last time before the NFL draft, Mike, for the trade show.
By the way, Kendrick Lamar buried J. Cole. Good night.
We're out of the same. Peace.